Hey, it is that time of year again, kids, and no, I am not talking about all things pumpkin spiced, Chris. I, of course, am talking about the release of the City Exclusives from LeLabo. 1 month out of the year, they release these special editions for mass consumption to the public. You gotta scoop them up if you can and when you can. There is literally 15 of these different fragrances. It's a lot of exclusives. I grabbed 4 of them. I tested them out. I'm gonna help you guys decide if any of these 4 are interesting to you. Stick around, let's talk about it. Hey, what's cracking YouTube? I'm Brandon. Welcome to DaVincis Alchemyst, your blue-collar guide for drinking well and stinking pretty. So it is technically not September right now when I'm filming this, but the release of this video marks September 1st, the release of LeLabo's City Exclusives. 1 month out of the year, they release these bad boys so that people from around the world can get them. Now, typically, what they wind up doing is that they only have those City Exclusives in each city. 11 months out of the year, you can only get these in the city that they were created for. But like I said, in September, they released them, all of them available online and in all of the boutiques, from my understanding, for everybody to, scoop them up as they will. So without spending too much time on this, I'm gonna roll right into it. We're gonna talk about the 4 that I picked up. They are Poivre 23, Cuir 28, Vanille 44, and Tabac 28. I'm gonna tell you guys what I think about each one, let you decide from there. Of course, as always, I do suggest trying to get your hands on the sample if you can. Go down to your local LeLabo boutique if you can, otherwise try to get like a decant or a sample. But these are my thoughts on these 4. I hope that I can help you make a decision as to whether or not you want to buy one this month. So I am going to get started with Vanille 44. Vanille 44 is super light, super vaporous, sort of vanilla. The vanilla is super wispy, it's very ethereal. It has a little bit of a woody touch in the dry down, very kind of like much in the background. It's not super standoutish, it's light. It gets kind of powdery. It does not pop off the skin very well. I have a little bit on this strip. Honestly, it definitely was much better on my skin. Again, always test on skin. It gives me this impression of that candied powder vanilla that they use, on hard candies to kind of keep them from sticking to each other if they're in a bag, that sort of a thing. Like I said, it's super light, super vaporous, super wispy. It's almost like a blown kiss of vanilla, honestly. I don't personally feel, and I could be absolutely wrong, but I don't personally feel like they use real vanilla in this. To me, it seems like they use vanillin, which is, fine. It still gives that impression. But I think that it's very light, and it's just does not do what I would like it to do. This was, for a little bit of the time that I was able to, experience it on my skin, I really did enjoy it, but it was just so damned wispy. Even to the point where I could not get my own scent bubble off of it. Still really pleasant, doesn't smell terrible. If you're looking for something light and ethereal in the vanilla category, then you might want to check this one out. Moving to the next one, this one is Poivre 23. So this one I liked quite a bit more than Vanille 44. The pink peppercorn vibe coming off of this is really beautiful and intense. I tend to cook a lot with pink peppercorns. I'll crush them up in like a mortar and pestle, and this definitely has a very realistic pink peppercorn vibe. If you've ever had pink peppercorns, or rather if you've never had pink peppercorns on top of vanilla ice cream, highly suggest that you try it. Super delicious. So Poivre 23 it has the pink pepper. It has a nice kind of a cedar in the background, that Virginia cedar, that pencil shavings kind of cedar. It has a certain resinous sweetness in the beginning. The sweetness dies down. Those resins continue. The pepper relatively pretty much continues. So you have this very woody, this very resinous dry down from Poivre 23. So nice, beautiful, punchy pepper, sweetness, woodiness in the beginning. Just kind of dries down to mostly woodiness and resinousness, tricky on the tongue. Resinous aspect as it dries down. This one I actually liked quite a bit. Just as a side note, I will rank my fave, in order of what I rank these four that I've tried. So that is Poivre 23. Adding a little bit more depth and complexity into this, we have the Cuir 28. So Cuir 28 is, it comes out of the gate. This very wonderful kind of green leather, this like new leather vibe, fresh leather, if you will. It too has a little bit of resinous feeling to it. It makes me kind of think that they probably used Nagarmatha or Chypriol for the leather accord. It really is honestly quite beautiful. It reminds me a little bit of Cuirs from Cuir Barcelona, which I have on the way, except that this is more punchy. Like Cuir Barcelona's Cuirs that's a very tongue-tying word to say, by the way, in French, trying to say it in French. It very much, the Cuir Barcelona version is it's very light. It's not quite as smoky as LeLabo's. LeLabo's Cuir 28 is smoky, it's rich in the leather, wonderfully green. I really do enjoy this one as well. I feel like this one has the most depth out of all four of these. The final one that I tested, of course, is Tabac 28. Now, this is interesting to me. So when you start out and even through the life of this fragrance, it is dry. This is not like most tobacco fragrances that I have in my collection, or tobacco fragrances that I like a whole bunch. Typically, I like that kind of that wet Cavendish pipe tobacco nuance that a lot of the like Herod, those sort of tobacco fragrances tend to push. This does not have any of that sweetness. This does not have any of that like moist aspect to it at all. This is very, very dry. When I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I used to be a cigarette smoker, and when I wasn't making a lot of money, I would buy the pouch tobacco, the roll your own pouch tobacco, and that's what Tabac 28 reminds me of, is opening that pouch tobacco and getting a whiff of that very, dry pouch tobacco, almost sort of a rich hay feel. It has this slight animalic undertone to it. It has a little bit of greenness. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some patchouli in here. It's rich. It is definitely the most complex, I think, of all four of these. And at first, I have to admit, the first couple of times that I wore it, I was not a fan. I really didn't like it, but it has kind of grown on me since then. It's dry, it's earthy, it's that rich, hay-like tobacco vibe. That's Tabac 28. So I would have to say, if I was gonna rank these, I would have to say, I would go with like my least favorite or my least liked would be Vanille 44. That one is for me a definite, no, I would not buy that. Not quite my vibe. I like my vanilla fragrances to be rich and heavy and thick, definitely preferably with a little bit of animalic undertones, like a little woodiness, like a lot of woodiness to them. So for me, that was like number 4. I would say that Poivre 23 probably ranks next on that. Really actually very gorgeous pepper fragrance. Definitely more complex than Vanille 44. Bringing up into the number 2 slot, I think for me is Tabac 28. Growing on me, starting to like it a little bit more, a little more neck and neck with my number 1 choice, which was Cuir 28. If I had to choose and I was gonna purchase one of these, I think it would be between Tabac 28 and Cuir 28. Now, let me explain to you why I won't be purchasing any of these. Here's my thought process. These aren't bad, they're not terrible, but they're not really complex. They're not really mind-altering when it comes to a fragrance, but I wouldn't have a problem with that if the price tag was lower. These are more expensive than LeLabo, which honestly is a little bit of an expensive fragrance line. They're more expensive than their standard fragrances. For 15 milliliters of these city exclusives, you're gonna pay $134. For 50 mils of these fragrances, you're gonna pay $319, and for 100 mils you're gonna be paying a whopping $485. This is USD, $485 for 100 milliliters, 3.3 fluid ounces. Now, my big complaint on this is that for 15 milliliters at $134 for such a average sort of vibed fragrance, you can get an LeLabo, the upcoming release of the LeLabo Manly, which LeLabo fragrances are very, very, very complex, very interesting. $80 for 10 mils. That is a huge price difference. Their 30 mil bottles, I think, are like 200. So, I mean, like, to me, this is just not worth the scratch. The juice is not worth the squeeze, if you don't mind me saying so. For the LABO City Exclusives, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life. But I am not going to be buying any of these City Exclusives, at least not these 4. I haven't tried the other 11. One of them might completely flip my kilt up over my head and make me see God. I have no idea. But as much as I do like those couple, the Tabac 28 and the Cuir 28, I'm not going to be picking them up. So I'll let you guys decide if you want to take advantage of September's City Exclusive month from LeLabo. Felt like it was like my duty to do a little due diligence for you guys. So there's my opinions on the 4 of those. Take it or leave it. I appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of this video. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. Ko-fi account down below. I hope that I've been helpful in some way. I also hope that you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. And no matter what you're doing, no matter where you're going, no matter what fragrance you want to buy, don't forget to keep calm, stay pretty, and I'll see you guys in the next one.